Every single Tuesday for the last 8 weeks, you and I, actually not every Tuesday, 8 weeks or 9 straight weeks, including one that we missed when we were in New York. Well, we redid it on Wednesday, so it doesn't really matter. So 2 straight months, we have done every single position group at LSU, breaking them down the way that I see it. You might agree, you might disagree. We have broken each one of them down. Tonight, we get to one of the last ones. We're going to do tight end last. But tonight, we get to the quarterback room. We get to the quarterback position. Is Garrett Nussmeier going to take that next step? We talked about last week, and we be doing it tonight. So really looking forward to that. I think that conversation, that QB room conversation, is going to be a really good one because we're not just talking about Nuss. God forbid he goes down. What happens with Ricky Collins, Colin Hurley, and Mr. Swan? So we'll get into that. There's something else that we might have neglected. We've talked a lot about Nuss and not necessarily the depth that is behind him. And quite honestly, you don't really ever want to talk about your QB depth when it comes to potentially your QB1 going down with injury. I will remind you, we were doing that a year ago saying, well, if Jane Daniels goes down or he underperforms, here comes Nussmeier. We're pretty good there. And then Jane just went on to win a Heisman. Made a lot of people look stupid. We'll talk about the position group of quarterback here tonight. Something that we have neglected. My fault. I neglected this. We did talk about this in spring to some extent. We did talk about this when these two men were promoted. But we haven't completely dug deep into the offensive coaching staff. We've talked everything and have milked every single ounce out of that heifer of talking about what the defense will do, what the new defensive staff will do. There's nothing else that they can prove, nothing else that you and I can really talk about come Thursday when camp is officially here. And we're going to be out there for practice. It's going to be a good episode on Thursday. I want to talk about something because you do have a lot to replace offensively. And there's a lot of things that I think that even on the staff that you are replacing, I say replacing, but Mike Denbrock's exit is a big deal because of the nature. You have truly, guys, 2 first-time play callers in the SEC or in any P4 area taking over in play calling. You have the best unit in the country with your offensive line. How do you utilize them? We'll break that down here tonight. Also, at the end, okay, we will, and I am going to do this. I know I say I always do it, and we only get to a couple, and we don't get to all of them. You can even fire some in now, and maybe the guys in the back can just, highlight some of them or hold on to them for when we are done. Tonight, after I am done giving my spiel here, I am going to ask you questions. It's like our own version of mailbag. I am going to take your thoughts, questions, concerns inside of this chat. I got 2 questions that I want to ask you, though. Number 1, if I allowed you to go to practice tomorrow or Thursday, if I allowed you to accompany me, which you can't do, unfortunately, but if I told you, hey, you're coming to practice with me on Thursday, what is the first thing that you want to see on the field? Not like, oh, let's go through football ops. None of that. What do you want to see if you were at practice on Thursday? We'll talk about that at the end. I'll let you start thinking about that as the show marinates and goes on. At the end, I got to ask you another question. What player are you watching? What player do you think is the most critical at the end of the year? Let me give an example. I told you this last week, and it was a clip that kind of went viral. I think like over 55, 60,000 views on it. But last week we had a clip and a thing about Caleb Jackson. We talked about the running back room. You might remember that. See all the posts out there now about Caleb Jackson? You're running back. Could be potentially if he takes that next step, guys, he's got the talent. He's got everything in front of him. Can he pick up and pass pro? Can he catch out of the backfield? That can he improve? He was very electric a year ago, but I'm telling you, y'all thought I was crazy. I had people in the comments when we did these segments, and we would clip them on social media, wherever, and you'd send in, Blake, Caleb Jackson's 220. He ain't no 230. Shit, they're saying he might be about 232 and hasn't lost that burst. By the way, when the season starts, he's going to be 225 because during the summer and going to practice and working out and walking to class, he's going to lose weight. Smart on him to fuel up, get 232, then get down to what will probably be. Yes, we're going to start getting into camp, and we're going to say, Blake, what did you just say about Caleb Jackson? So we'll see. All right. Let's get to it. My connection's bad. Is it me? All right. I don't know what's going on here. Let me see if I can hear it on my side. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, so we'll go to break. Let's do this. We're going to regroup here. If you can hear me, we're going to regroup and then come back. Hopefully, I don't have to give a monologue here at the end. I don't know. Let us regroup. We'll take a quick break.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. I really do hope that we are back here. I am not sure, but it says on our end, unfortunately on our end, I don't know. It's saying that things are fine. That's what the bad thing is. We can't change anything. I'm gonna need you guys to help me out here and see if that is better. I do not know what is going on. So let me do this very quickly one more time. I'm gonna hit a commercial. We're gonna come back just to make sure. All right, give us just a quick second. I'm sorry and apologize for the inconvenience. Stay with us.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
Able to sell your house.
Guys, we are having all kinds of difficulties. I apologize. That is on our end somehow, some way. I don't know. Everything that we have tested is good so far. So I am not sure. I am not sure what's going on. Just let us know in the comments if we're good to go here, and we'll try to get to it. Just to make sure, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we good? We bad? What is going on here? We'll greatly appreciate. All right, we're back. Good. Sounds perfect. We're good to go now. Okay. I apologize for that. It really throws you off, because you're having to do all this crazy shit. And I appreciate you for staying with us. I very, very, very much appreciate you staying with us. We haven't had a technical difficulty in quite some time. Not like this, we haven't. Not like this, we haven't. Glad to know that we are back in business here. Glad to know that we're back in business here. All right. I don't know where I left off. Do us a favor by hitting the like and share. I was unable to say that. If you're on Facebook, share to all those groups, share to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us a favor by hitting that rate, review, and subscribe. Tonight, we do got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go back very quickly, very briefly, what I was trying to discuss in the open. We're going to talk about quarterbacks. We have been on an 8-week journey here, guys. 2 months, that we've gone through every single position group. We have 2 left, quarterbacks and tight ends. We'll get to quarterbacks here tonight. We'll also go through the staff, the offensive staff, because we have talked so much about offense, so much about defense. We have neglected some of the things that we need to discuss offensively. We just kind of feel like, hey, they're going to be good, so they're fine. But we need to talk about the staff. And then I'm going to ask you a question. You can actually put this inside the chat now if you need to. At the end of the show, I'm going to start asking you some questions. And I want you to tell me where you're going to go what position group you're going to go see. If I were to bring you on practice on Thursday, who is the best or the player that you want to see break out the most, or who is the player you're keeping your eye out on the most? So stick around with us. We'll do our own version of a mailbag question here. Nevertheless, let's get to it. It's not missed on me that I was going to do a Ruffino's Rants. I was really going to do one, but with the technical difficulties, it feels a little stupid to do now, but not necessarily. Did y'all see that 247 Sports came out with the highest ticket prices for college football games this year? You notice how LSU's not on them? That's going to change quick. 247 Sports came up with their highest ticketed item, our hottest, most expensive ticket to get into a game this year. In their top 20 list, LSU was not one of them. Those tickets are about to skyrocket. You would think USC, LSU, and Vegas would be a very expensive ticket. No, pretty much already sold out here. Was going to go on a little bit of a rant on that, but our internet or something crapped the bed completely. Let's get to it. So, guys, as I mentioned, we've been going through a segment talking about each position group for the last 8 weeks. Tonight, we land on the quarterback position. We feel as a fan base, I would assume that the team feels good, the coaching staff feels good about where you stand right now at quarterback, especially with your starter. You know, there's something, and Miles Brennan taught us this more than anybody. A fan base will latch on to a quarterback that will sit and wait their time. Right? Like, there is no question whatsoever that we will, as a fan base, rally around the guy that wants to be here, very talented. We want them to be great. That is what Nussmeier is. It's what Matt Flynn was. It's what Miles Brennan was hoping everybody thought that he would be. But Garrett Nussmeier comes into his 4th season at LSU, getting a chance late in the season in his freshman year. Then Brian Kelly comes in, doesn't waver, doesn't transfer. Miles Brennan comes out of the transfer portal, comes back to LSU, and then you go and get which would potentially be, or not potentially be, which would be the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Jayden Daniels out of the transfer portal. Did Brian Kelly win the SEC? So many questions. But Garrett Nussmeier came back and sat behind Jayden for the last 2 years when in year 1, Jayden won the West, and then in year 2 when he won the Heisman. I think Garrett, as it stands today, is by far one of the more talented quarterbacks in the entire SEC. There is a laundry list of really good quarterbacks in this league, and a lot of guys that have had playing time. You know, and in no even real particular order. You know, I look at Brady Cook at Missouri. I look at Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. I look at Carson Beck at Georgia. What is Brock Vandagriff going to do at Kentucky? Jalen Milroe led Alabama to the playoff last year. Even though Billy Napier was getting so much flack from the college football world for the lack of competence at times that they put on the football field, Graham Mertz vastly improved under Billy Napier than where his previous stop was. Connor Weigman was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school. You know, it's not missed upon me that last year, midway through the season, the conversation about Connor Weigman before he got hurt was not only is he a good quarterback, is he one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC? Nationally, that conversation was being had. What does Taylen Green do at Arkansas with Bobby Petrino coming back? There are so many question marks, so many talking points at quarterback in this league and in this conference. And I've got to be real with you. I feel good where LSU sits with Garrett Nussmeier as their quarterback. Doesn't have experience like the others, has played a ton. And actually, if we're being honest, has been in a game, 2 games of recent note where there were a lot of things on the line when he entered the ball game. You know, LSU in the SEC championship game. Yeah, LSU under Brian Kelly has not played a bigger game, no matter what you want to believe. No bigger game that was more important than an SEC championship game. It's just not true. Now, you could say Bama maybe in 22 was the biggest because you beat them to win the West. I would digress if that would want to be your argument. But Garrett is one of the top dudes in this league. We've seen him grow up in front of our eyes, right? Like, I'm old enough to remember when a lot of you slandered me for saying that and I remember it vividly. You said that I did the same thing to Miles Brennan. Never did. Not like that. I said we got to wait and see. We were right. Garrett Nussmeier, when he went into a game against Southern, wasn't ready. In other games that we saw him, he wasn't ready. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with him not being ready to be the starting guy. Sometimes it takes kids time to progress. Jaden Daniels comes to mind. Now, Jaden played a lot more, but Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, this place has shown you what giving a quarterback and player patience could benefit to you. But he's got the keys now. It is his offense to navigate. It is his team to navigate. And we have not gone into a season with him being QB1. Now, a lot of people in 22 didn't think Jaden was going to win that game or win that job. You were kidding yourselves if you thought he wasn't. Always told you were. Garrett, from where he started to where he is now, I think is the biggest deal. Because when you go back and look at the 5 games that Garrett played in, the last 5 that he played at LSU, you know, the bowl game 2 years ago when he split time with Jaden Daniels was 11 for 15, had a 73% completion percentage, did throw a bad pick, is what it is, 173 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He comes in the game before that against Georgia in an SEC championship game, goes 15 of 27. That has to get better. It will. It has. For 294, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Remember that I said this. Only had 1 sack in that game, in that half, did Georgia. Army, he was 7 for 12. 89 yards and a touchdown. Bama this past year when he came in, when Jaden Daniels got hit and concussed and the flag should have been called, Garrett comes in off the bench, 5 out of 10, 53 yards and 50% completion percentage. And then his first start against Wisconsin, he was 31 of 45, 395 yards, 68% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. No sacks. The biggest thing and the biggest question that you have for a guy like Garrett Nussmeier always and will be, is he going to be a better overall quarterback in the sense of the small things that you have to do? You do not have to hit a bomb every single time. There is a lot of good in potentially getting the ball out, checking the ball down, getting the ball to your playmakers, and letting them go to work. There was also a big thing of Garrett not needing to stay so long in the pocket, get the ball out. Look, you're not going to out-athlete a lot of these dudes in this conference. Get the ball out. Don't take sacks. Limit turnovers. Guys, in the last 5 games that we've seen Garrett Nussmeier, he hasn't taken a sack. One of those were a start, and then pretty much a second half versus Alabama, who had 2 really premier pass rushers a year ago. But now that same old line is still there and you are just reloading at that position group, You've got a really good offensive line. You hope that that running game really gets rolling this year behind a really good running back to even take more pressure off Garrett, who will be a first-time starter. Doesn't mean that he won't get the job done for you this season at all. But offensively, you have a lot that you have to replace. Again, guys, you legitimately are losing 2 first-round wide receivers. I actually believe personally that you've reloaded there. You've heard me last week. I think that you reloaded there. Don't worry about you got talent on the outside. I am not worried about that. But it is a question mark. How do you replenish? Because I could be wrong. Garrett's got a lot of toys to play with. And going into this season, for me, without question, and I know this is going to be the answer that, Blake's just bailing himself out. There is no player on this team that is more critical than him. Nobody. On how your season wants to go. If he comes out and does a lot of the same things that you saw against Wisconsin, you start saying to yourself, this kid might have a chance. He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to take losses. How much can he mitigate that? How much can he take a step back and say, you know what, man? It's first down. I'm not going to force this into double coverage because we come back in 2nd and 10 and we are behind the best offensive line. Caleb Jackson is to my right. That is going to be the biggest thing for him. Because the season, the season rides on every quarterback that you have. But you are replacing a lot of things that Jayden Daniels covered up for a year ago. Guys, I will remind you that last year during Ole Miss and Missouri, even in the beginning games against Alabama, of the last 30 drives that Jayden Daniels, or the midway through the season, let me say this again. Midway through the season, when you're playing Missouri, who was a 10-win team, Ole Miss that was a 10-win team, and Alabama that won the conference, 25 of the last 30 possessions in that time frame, Jayden was 25 of 30 in scoring touchdowns. Now, I will say that he had to do it, like Blake, he was a Heisman Trophy winner. Of course he did. Guys, that is ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. I think Garrett can do not the same thing that Jayden did, but there is one thing that they do have in common. The thing that they have in common is that they're very much impact players. They have a very, 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 very high ceiling. You got to raise their floor. Because if Garrett Nussmeier's floor is 2-3 touchdowns, 275 to 300 yards, and you ran the football, if that is his floor, 300, 3-1, guys, you're going to be cooking again. And he has that ability. He has that ability to do it. You saw it against Wisconsin. You've seen it against Georgia. You've seen it against Purdue. Now, Georgia was obviously the best of those teams, and he had a pair of first-round wide receivers that are around him. It really helped him. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. Offensive line, both of your tackles were freshmen in his the premier time that he was here. He is the most critical because I know that he's a first-year starter, but how he progresses is going to be what you ride on offensively. before we go into the season, I want to say this about him because things are going to be said from Thursday to the beginning of the season about how he looks. I could be wrong in this. I don't think he's going to be a Heisman contender. I don't know that. I haven't seen him. I don't know if he's going to be a Heisman contender, but he's going to be good. He's going to be good enough for you. He's not going to Max Johnson this thing. He will not do that. Raise the floor level, and you got yourself a dude. Let's talk about the room as a whole. I made some phone calls last week because Ricky Collins won the Freak of the Week. Pause. The Freak of the Week is what LSU calls a guy that's had the best week or best couple of weeks or best period of not only lifting, but being a leader, being a good teammate, doing stuff off the field, conditioning. Ricky Collins won it? Okay. What has Ricky done that where of 105 players that are lifting and working out and are there with you, what did Ricky do that stood out to you? Can Ricky have a big offseason? That is going to be the question mark. Coming out of spring, I thought that A.J. Swann was going to be your number 2 quarterback. But now as we sit here today, I ask myself, is Ricky Collins not number 2? And has he not separated himself? And if he has separated himself, what does that progression look like under Brian Kelly? Stay with me. Guys, I think the biggest thing that gets missed when people talk about Garrett Nussmeier is that Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan were the guys that were here when that development started. You and I cannot say to anybody, or nobody in the college football world can say that they have not seen development from Garrett from playing as a freshman until right now. No one. No one. You've seen the transformation. Is Ricky Collins in that? Is Ricky Collins in that? Because if he is, guys, I mean, I know that you have Bryce Underwood that is coming in, but if you have a guy that is still taking that next step, we got to have a conversation of, hey, man, since Brian Kelly has been here, you saw Garrett transform. He's looking really good. And now Ricky Collins is kind of like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Bro, that's Ricky. We will find that out starting on Thursday. Can he take that next step? But you have a young room with not a lot of experience. That's why you bring in A.J. Swann, because Ricky hasn't seen that experience. Guys, what have we seen from Swann? Guys, I mean, if he can be serviceable at Vandy, I know that A.J. Swann had a very tough spring. Very tough spring. But I question, like, how, I mean, because he committed to LSU and was thrown in the fire. Didn't get any prep work, none of it. Didn't know any plays, didn't know anybody. I remember when that happened to Jaden Daniels. And then he had a summer, and I'm like, Sure it did. I think you got talent. I think you have guys with traits. Outside of Nuss, I don't know if you have somebody in that room that can be transcendent or be above average. I don't know that. I do personally, my opinion would be, yes, Ricky Collins could be because of his athleticism and be more than serviceable. But I don't know that because I have not seen Ricky in significant snaps ever. Okay, I've seen him in practice. I've seen him in spring games. You know, like I think of during spring when they were doing 11 on 11 at practice, and Ricky Collins took a shot and hit Shelton Sampson in the back of the end zone. One of the only plays Shelton Sampson made all spring. And it was a dime to Shelton Sampson in the back of the end zone, put it right in his breadbasket. So I look at that room and say, yeah, you got some traits. If Nuss goes down, guys, I got to be honest, I have no idea what's going to happen there. I go into this offseason saying, look, I think Ricky will be ultimately better than A.J. Swann just based off what we've seen. But, man, Swann has a lot of attempts. He has a lot of throws in this conference, and I think that means something. So you have two backups, I would say 2A and 2B, that give or take what you would do until Nussmeier would get back, if he got back, God forbid. Last but not least, Colin Hurley. Guys, I think outside of Garrett Nussmeier, I told you this all spring when I got to see Colin Hurley up close and personal. And it's not close. The 17-year-old quarterback, Colin Hurley, is the second best pure thrower of the football on this team. Not remotely close. I think that him and Nuss are stratospheres above everybody else. Ricky's got some things he's got to work out there. Colin Hurley, guys, looks like a shortstop. Looks like the guy that is the slick second baseman that you see in the league. Right? Like just a good defender at second, rangy, big arm, kind of a, shorter guy. Dude is athletic in the pocket. He's 17. And if Colin Hurley is playing significant snaps at LSU next year, we're in big trouble. Very big trouble. So, look, I think that there is a potential that your quarterback room is going to be something that we need to keep our eyes on, even with Nuss, but what's behind him. I can't talk about quarterback, though, without obviously bringing up Bryce Underwood. I mean, you would hope that Nuss comes back next year, like I have no idea what you're going to do when Bryce gets here. And could a Colin Hurley leave now that you can transfer out twice? Does A.J. Swann leave? Does Ricky leave? I mean, guys, Ricky's going to be a junior when Bryce Underwood comes in. A.J. Swann's not getting younger. Are those guys going to want to play somewhere? So, yeah, you would have a Bryce Underwood coming in. He might have to start out of necessity unless you went and got somebody out of the portal. Just saying. So that's it. I think Nuss is going to have a good season. I do think that he's going to show signs of being a first-time quarterback. And I think we're going to have to get over it in growing pains. I've said this the last two times that I've covered this team and quarterbacks. Guys, Jaden Daniels made mistakes. Joe Burrow made mistakes. You got to live with some of them. And you're going to have to live with some of them. I just can see it. I can see it. All right. Let's get to some of these. Colin Hurley looked better than both of them, in my opinion. I mean, look, here's what I'll tell you about Colin. We did not see him in significant snaps at practice. He came into a spring game and threw a touchdown to a guy that was a top 100 recruit was a 4-star wide receiver against a kid that was a walk-on that has no business being there. A white kid was playing corner when Colin Hurley, if I'm not mistaken. But come on. I like the kid a lot, but come on. Chase Abear with a $9.99 super chat says, Blake, hot take, brother. Braden Swinson goes off this year and makes himself a first or second round pick. Look, if that happens, then you've solved a lot of things defensively. If Braden Swinson works himself into a first round or second round pick, he's going to have more than double-digit sacks, more than double-digit tackles for loss. I would assume that means that Harold Perkins' potential sack production is down. Let me explain. I would think that would mean that they keyed in on him, had a guard tackle get on him, and everybody shades to him and chip blocks him. And Braden Swinson's 101 and just goes off. You need it. Because Kevin Peoples, for what it's worth, I think, what was it? Forgive me of the statistics, okay? But when we talked about the edge group, I found a statistic about Kevin Peoples and the guys that he coaches. At least one guy has double-digit sacks everywhere that he's gone. Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana Tech. And I think maybe Tulane, maybe. At least one guy had double-digit sacks at the edge. Maybe Tulane wasn't one of them, but maybe Louisiana Tech was. He's had a lot of guys have a lot of high production. If you can't have high production over him when he's at Missouri and at Arkansas, the dude's coached enough. I mean, like, you got enough of a sample size. Is it you or is it him? Because I will tell you, he has shown that he can be productive. That's all I'm saying. All right. Couple more, then we're going to get to some more stuff here. My audio was bad in the beginning. Is it better now? Is it better now? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Is our audio much better now? I don't see any comments. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully it is. Technical difficulties, man, they don't care. Brandon Reese says, wouldn't be surprised if a couple of those QBs end up transferring. Oh, heavens, yes. Heavens, yes. They're gone pecan. They're gone pecan. You know, like my fat ass trying to hop on a Thanksgiving pecan pie. I almost called it pecan. I've never called it pecan a day in my life. You know, that bitch is gone. Guys, there's going to be somebody that transfers out of here. Gonna happen. I'm actually not a big sweets guy. I think I've told y'all this before. I am a dressing, like turkey dressing fan. Yes. Because we're about to have football season, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Carnivore diet's going to be in trouble, buddy. Yes, indeed. It is. I like Mississippi mud pie, too. Banana pudding. All the great things, man. Sweet potato pie. So you know that your boy's on a diet when that's what I'm thinking about right now. 46 minutes into the show, that's what I'm thinking about. All right. We'll come back. We'll talk about the offensive staff. This LSU, for what it's worth, can they outstaff teams next year? We've talked a lot about the defensive staff. Let's talk about the offensive staff. Let me get to a quick break. At the end of the show here tonight, I'm going to be asking you questions. So stay with us. We'll do a kind of an Ask Blake mailbag questionnaire here in just a moment. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well?
Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. You know what is the best thing that I think that has ever happened going into 2024 season for LSU football? That Mike Denbrock left. Yep, you heard me right. I am so glad that Mike Denbrock left at the time that he did. I am not happy that Mike Denbrock left. Just going to throw it out there. Not happy. I love Mike Denbrock. I understand the move, family, faith, football. I understand it. I'm glad that Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton were able to call LSU's last game so that we have somewhat of an idea of what they look like calling plays. What does it look like with Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, and Cortez Hankton calling plays? Is it going to take a step back? Is it going to take a step forward? What does it look like? We have evidence of it. We have spent all spring and this summer, when we talk about LSU football, specifically talking about what can you do with the defense, what's the interior defensive line going to look like, what is the boundary at corner going to look like? Well, Bo Davis is going to get him, and Corey Raymond's back. We have talked about that ad nauseum. You know what's something that we haven't talked about? Do you know something that just kind of has gotten glanced over during this entire offseason? Not that we don't think about it, not that there's not question marks, but mainly because the defense was just so bad, we don't realize, hey, man, you got a coordinator that you are replacing with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that's gone and the 2 first-round picks. The last time that exact thing happened, Ed Orgeron lost to Mississippi State in week 1. Derek Stingley, hours before the game, was nowhere to be – they knew where he was, but was nowhere to be found when it comes to being around Death Valley. So, yeah, miss me that when you have two guys that have never called plays in the SEC before at least just one time, that there aren't, from a national perspective, question marks about what it's going to look like, unless you get a game like you had in the bowl game where they come in and they call plays and you get an idea of what Joe Sloan's going to come in here and do. Now, things did change during spring. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the entire offense is going to look exactly like it did when you saw them last. Guys are going to go under center. The running game is going to be a little bit different. They're going to lean on Brad Davis and what he wants to do. We saw in the spring, all spring long, that you know what? If you give Joe Sloan the opportunity in this running game, that they're going to pull Will Campbell and they're going to run a counter, a trap, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to get big-ass Will Campbell in the hole, and Caleb Jackson and all 230 pounds of him is going to be right behind him. Guys, listen, you're going to mess some dudes up this year. This is how I feel. I feel like you are going to mess some people up this year. Now, you know what would be funny? Let me tell you what would be funny. What would be funny is if, hey, man, we went this entire offseason talking about how good the O-line's going to be. It's the best in the country, right? I hope that USC doesn't come out and shock the world. I really don't. I don't think that is going to happen. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. You got 2 first-round dudes. I think you're going to be fine there. Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton are first-time play callers in the SEC. And it is going to be a question mark. What does Joe Sloan do in a hostile environment on third down? Now, your 2 biggest games, you're really going to be at home. So Ole Miss, place is still loud, though. How do they look like against Alabama in critical third downs? I think that they're going to be fine. And I've told you this. I told you this in January. I'm going to tell you this now. And we even mentioned it somewhat a little bit during the spring. Until a Brian Kelly team offensively shows me that they are not, or that they are taking steps back in reference to where a good offense should be. You know, like, for example, I think of Nick Saban in the later years of his tenure, not last year, but the later years of his tenure, when offense became a big priority for him. Very big priority. You know, I remember Tua Tagovailoa. I remember Jalen Hurts. Guys, those were 2 NFL starting quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts probably should have been a first rounder. Look at him now. Mac Jones got drafted in the first round. They were good historically on that side of the football. Brian Kelly is going to be a lot of the same, in my opinion. That you're going to have a severe amount of talent. Severe amount of talent. I think things are going to be a little bit different. I don't think the style of attack changes. Being aggressive, wanting to go downfield, wanting to take some shots. They're not going to neglect anything in the passing game. I think that they're going to utilize it in much different ways, very different ways, because of what the personnel that you have. I do think, though, that they're going to line up and run it right at them. One thing that I want to mention that I noticed in the Wisconsin game, I think it's going to be very critical for Brian Kelly to mention to Sloan, to mention to Cortez, hey, man, we can take the game slow if we need to. Get Garrett a 5-yard out route to Mason Taylor. Get him in a rhythm. Let's run the football a little bit. Get into the game. And then let's open wide ass up. You guys, last year, you were balls to the wall 24/7. And you don't have to be like that all the time. You guys, I remind you what 2022 was like. I remind you. And there could be a lot of similarities to that team. A lot of similarities. You're replacing what was a part of your biggest unit a year ago. The number one unit in the nation doesn't have the same coordinator, doesn't have the same quarterback, doesn't have the 2 premier first-round picks. And you're going to have to answer for that. As much faith as I have in you, like I have extreme faith in this team offensively. Completely. I have faith in you. What I believe at this exact moment is not going to be what is reality or what the nation will perceive from you come college football playoff time. Man, you got answers. I mean, you got questions to answer. There is one chess piece here, though, that I haven't moved. And talking about the offense and talking about play calling and offensive staff. Brian Kelly gets labeled as the CEO so much because he's not or doesn't appear on the sidelines to be very hands-on offensively or defensively. A CEO that can be on both sides of the ball, know what needs to be done, and get it done. I will continue to remind anybody that has not listened to me ever, that dude can be an offensive genius when he wants to be. Brian Kelly still is who he is. This isn't a situation with Les. This isn't a situation with Ed. I think you're in a situation where if it came down to it, if it 1 billion% came down to it, you do can do it. And I think he's going to have a lot of input his damn self. A lot of input his damn self. So we'll see. All right. Very quickly, Slade Nagel comes over from Tulane, who was an offensive coordinator at Tulane last year. People at Tulane said, well, Slade Nagel, Slade was all right. He wasn't a great offensive coordinator. He lost his NFL quarterback midway through the year. He ran out there with a piece of butter and some toast and tried to spread the ball around with a dude who can't throw it from me to you. Couldn't do it. There's a lot of faith when it comes to what Slade Nagel sees from an X's and O's point on the field. I think that they're going to lean on him a lot. A lot. It would not shock me completely if Slade Nagel were sitting next to Joe Sloan in the press box. Would not surprise me in the slightest. Remember, your boy said that. Anyway, Cortez is going to be down the field. He is a great on field, getting things translated, getting guys ready to roll. He's shown at Georgia and LSU that he can be elite there. Speaking of Cortez, he and Joe Sloan alike have shown that they can be very good developers of talent. Time to show that they can go be play callers. Time to go show that they can be play callers. That's where they sit at the current moment. Okay. Oh, and by the way, why am I forgetting Brad Davis?
This fucking show is fucking cursed. This show is fucking cursed. I everything just went dark. That's what she said. Episode 973, you can go kiss my ass. Spectrum, man. Garbage ass business. Get your fucking shit together. All right. Before we get out of here, so I want to ask you a question before we leave, and we end this show that has been very chaotic. Again, I apologize. What was I going to ask you? Shit, so if I granted you the opportunity to accompany me, you can't. I'm just asking. If I gave you the time to come with me to go to practice on Thursday, where's the first place that you're going to look? What on the field do you want to go see? What position group or what player? I want you to give that answer to me inside of the chat. I am going to read as many of them as I can until we get out of here. Give me a reason why. Doesn't have to be a vastly long sentence. I want to see defensive tackles because of this. So I will throw this up there because Spectrum Wellcare did a very good job of doing it. Interior defensive lineman, I got to see Gio Paez and JVR Suggs. Yeah, man, I mean, no doubt. And normally, BK does not let us stay for the entirety of day one. He's letting us stay the entirety of day one. The entirety of day one. So we're going to see everything. We are going to see absolutely everything. Cole Adams and David Woodard said, I got to see DB. So does Lance on Facebook. Cornerback to see where we are at on development. Hunter says, linebackers, I'm working on being a coach, and linebackers are my position. How about that? Okay, good one. Good one. Danny Girl says DB because obviously in the punting and kicking game. Unfortunately, when you go out there, they don't show you the special teams, really. You see some stuff, but they don't really show you much. Those guys are out on their own. Go Hard or Go Home says the unit secondary. I want to see how healthy Zy Alexander and J.K. Johnson are in day one. Zy Alexander, I would be shocked, if he is ready to go day one. If he's ready to go day one, then I'm going to be flabbergasted. Flabbergasted. There's a good white word. Flabbergasted. Why people would be saying flabbergasted way too much. Way too much. I just said it. DK says the D-line. Brandon Reese says DBs. Hopefully they're not getting beat downfield so much. Yeah. Jaden Burrow on YouTube says, I want to see the D-line has improved. You know what's sad? You know what's very, 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 very sad? Not one thing has been said about the offense. And I'm glad that we got to talk about that tonight. So glad that we got to talk about that tonight. So, yeah. All right. We will see y'all again tomorrow. One more day, one more episode, and then we're going to come back and practice is here. It's going to be so much fun, man. So much fun. Until then, y'all have a good night. Peace.